Girl asks young billionaire to teach her to ride a bike. His response is unbelievable. The wooden bench was cold when Rowan sat down. He checked his watch, 3:30 on a Sunday afternoon. The park was crowded, but he paid no attention to the people around him. His mind was still stuck on the contracts he had reviewed late into the previous night. A lawyer for 10 years, Rowan knew his life was a predictable sequence of office and apartment and office. Weekends were no different. There was always something to review, a case to study, a client to handle. But today, something had brought him here. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe it was the feeling that he was missing something important without knowing exactly what. He loosened his tie and took a deep breath. The air was different here, lighter. Children ran across the grass. Parents pushed swings. Couples walked hand in hand. Everything seemed to have a rhythm he had forgotten how to follow. "Excuse me." The voice was small but firm. Rowan looked to his side and saw a little girl standing a few feet away. She was holding an old bicycle with both hands, as if presenting a treasure. Blonde hair fell over her shoulders, a bit messy from the wind. Her blue eyes watched him with a curiosity that caught him off guard. "Hi," he replied, not quite sure what to do. The girl took a step forward. The bicycle made a strange noise when she moved it, as if something was loose. "Can you teach me how to ride, like a dad?" The question came out so naturally that it took Rowan a second to process it. He looked around, searching for the girl's parents, for someone who should have been watching her, but she was alone. He began, but she interrupted him. "I see the kids with their dads," she said, pointing to a nearby family where a man was holding a little boy's bicycle. "I don't have one." Rowan felt something tighten in his chest. The way she spoke was simple, without drama, as if it were just a fact of her life. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ivy. What's yours?" "Rowan." She smiled. It was a smile that lit up her whole face. "Rowan is a nice name. You seem kind." He didn't know what to say. Kind wasn't a word people usually use to describe him. Competent, yes. Efficient, always. But kind. "Where's your mother?" he asked. "Working. She always works on Sundays. She said I could play here until she comes to get me." Ivy set the bike down and sat on the grass next to the bench. Rowan noticed she was wearing a simple dress and sneakers that had seen better days. "What do you do for work?" she asked, tilting her head to the side. "I'm a lawyer." "What's that?" Rowan paused. How could he explain to a 5-year-old what he did? Contracts, lawsuits, hearings, none of it would make sense to someone her age. "I help people when they have problems," he finally said. "Oh, that's cool." Her eyes sparkled. "So you're good at helping." She quickly stood up and pulled the bike back toward her. "That's why you can help me with this." Rowan looked at the bicycle. The paint was peeling, the seat was crooked, and he was sure at least one of the training wheels was loose. It looked like it was at least 10 years old. "I don't know if I can," he said slowly, the hesitation clear in his voice. "But you can try," she replied instantly, as if the answer was obvious. Rowan shook his head. "I really don't know anything about teaching kids. I'm not good with," he gestured vaguely, "this kind of thing." "Are you always this serious?" Ivy asked, studying his face. Yes, I think I am." "Why?" The question caught him by surprise. Why was he serious? When had he started being this way? He remembered being different as a child, but that felt like a lifetime ago. "I guess my work makes me this way," he answered. "Do you like your work?" Another question he didn't expect. Did he like it? He was good at what he did. He earned a good living. He had a solid career. But did he like it? "It's complicated," he said. Ivy laughed. It was a light, genuine laugh. "My mom says that when things are complicated, it's because we're thinking too much." Rowan looked at her. 5 years old, and she already had more wisdom than many of his colleagues. "She sounds smart. Your mom." "She is. She cuts people's hair and makes them look pretty. And she always makes me smile, even when I'm sad." The way Ivy talked about her mother made something stir in Rowan's chest. There was so much love in her voice. so much admiration. Listen, he said, trying to be gentle. I really don't think this is a good idea. I don't know how to teach kids, and what if you get hurt? The expression on Ivy's face changed. The sparkle in her blue eyes went out like a candle being blown out. Her small shoulders slumped, and she looked down at the bicycle in her hands. Oh, she said quietly. Okay. She started to drag the bicycle away, her small feet treading slowly on the grass. The excitement from before had completely vanished. Sorry to bother you, she mumbled, without looking back. Rowan watched her walk away. There was something in the way her shoulders were hunched, in the way she held the bicycle now, like a burden instead of a treasure, that made something inside him twist. He remembered what she had said. I see the kids with their dads. I don't have one. She just wanted someone to help her. That was all. And he had said no. Ivy, he called out before he could change his mind. She stopped but didn't turn around. Ivy, come back here. This time she turned slowly, her eyes still lacking that earlier sparkle. I'm sorry, Rowan said, getting up from the bench. I can try, if you want. Her face transformed. It was like watching the sun rise. Really? She asked, her voice full of hope again. Really? But I genuinely don't know what I'm doing. That's okay, she shouted, running back to him. We'll learn together. Before he could react, she hugged his legs. Rowan stood still, not sure what to do with his hands. How long had it been since someone hugged him like that? Thank you, Rowan, she said, letting him go and turning back to the bike. You're nice. He followed her, feeling something strange happening in his chest. It wasn't uncomfortable, but it was different, as if something that had been dormant for a long time was waking up. First, let's see what's working here, he said, crouching down to examine the bike. What he saw made him shake his head. The chain was loose, the seat was definitely crooked, and the training wheels were at different heights. It was a miracle the thing could still move. Have you had this bike for a long time? He asked. My mom got it at a thrift store. She said it would teach me how to fly. Rowan smiled for the first time in weeks. Fly. Of course she would say that. Well, first let's get you to stay upright on it. Then we can think about flying. Ivy laughed again, and Rowan realized he was starting to like that sound. He helped position the bike and held it while she climbed on. She was small for her age. Or maybe the bike was too big, probably both. Hold the handlebars, he instructed, and put your feet on the pedals. She did as he said, but was clearly nervous. Rowan could feel the tension in her body through the bicycle. Hey, he said softly. It's okay. I'm holding on. You won't let me fall. I won't let you fall. There was something in the way he said it that surprised him. He really wasn't going to let her fall. It was a promise, and he always kept his promises. Now, let's go slowly, he said, starting to push the bike gently. Ivy gripped the handlebars as if her life depended on it. The bike moved awkwardly, and Rowan had to use his strength to keep it straight. Relax, he said. If you're tense, it's harder. How do I relax? She asked, her voice a little higher than usual. Take a deep breath and trust me. She took a deep breath, just as he had said. Rowan felt her body relax a little. There you go, he said. Much better. They moved a few feet like that, with him holding on tight and her trying to find her balance. The bike still made noise, but it was moving. Am I riding? She asked. Excited. You're riding, he confirmed. And then, as if it had decided it was time, the bike tipped to the right. Rowan tried to catch it, but he couldn't. Ivy fell onto the grass with the bike on top of her. For a second, he panicked. What if she was hurt? What if... But then she started to laugh. It wasn't a disguised cry or a nervous laugh. It was a genuine, hearty laugh. That was funny, she said, still laughing as she pushed the bike off of her. The bike knocked me over. Rowan couldn't help but smile. In fact, he started to laugh too. When was the last time he had laughed like this? Are you okay? He asked, helping her up. I'm great, she said, brushing the grass off her dress. Let's try again. And that's what they did. They tried again, and again and again. With each attempt, Ivy grew a little more confident. With each fall, she laughed a little louder, and with each laugh of hers, something inside Rowan loosened up a bit more. On the 5th try, she managed to pedal for almost 30 feet before losing her balance. When she fell this time, she shouted with joy. "Did you see that?" she said, jumping back up. "I pedaled by myself." "I sure did," Rowan said, and he realized he was smiling so much his cheeks hurt. "That was amazing." Ivy ran to him and hugged him again, this time around his arms. Rowan didn't hesitate. He hugged her back. "Thank you," she said, looking up at him. "You're a really good dad." The words hit him like a punch to the gut, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt as if something he didn't know was broken had just been fixed. "Ivy!" A woman's voice called from across the park. They looked up and saw a blonde woman walking toward them. Even from a distance, Rowan could see she had the same blue eyes as Ivy. "That's my mom," Ivy said, waving. "Mom, I learned how to ride my bike." The woman came closer, and Rowan could see that she was tired. There was something in the way she walked, in the way she held her shoulders, that spoke of someone who worked too hard. "Hi, sweetie," she said to Ivy, then looked at Rowan. "Thank you for watching her." "Mom, this is Rowan. He taught me how to ride my bike like a dad." The woman looked at Rowan with an expression he couldn't quite decipher. It wasn't suspicion, but it wasn't exactly trust either. "I'm Elise," she said, extending her hand. "Ivy's mom." "Rowan," he replied, shaking her hand. "It was a pleasure to help." "Mom, did you see? I managed to pedal by myself. Rowan held the bike and I didn't fall. Well, I fell a few times, but it was fun." Elise smiled at her daughter, and Rowan saw where Ivy had gotten that smile that lit up everything around her. "That's wonderful, sweetie. Now let's go home. You must be hungry." "Can I come back next Sunday?" Ivy asked, looking between her mother and Rowan. "To practice more." Elise looked at Rowan, as if asking if it was okay. "If it's not too much trouble," she said. "It's no trouble at all," Rowan replied, and he realized he was telling the truth. "It would be a pleasure." "Yay!" Ivy shouted, jumping up and down. "Next Sunday I'm going to ride my bike without falling." Rowan laughed. "We'll see about that." Elise picked up the bicycle and started to walk. Ivy followed her but stopped and ran back to Rowan. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for changing your mind and for trying." She hugged him one more time, quickly, and then ran back to her mother. Rowan stood there watching them walk away. Ivy was waving at him, and he waved back until they were out of sight. He went back to the bench and sat down. The park was still crowded, but now he was paying attention to the people. A child laughing on the slide, a couple sharing ice cream, a father teaching his son how to kick a ball. There was life here, real life, and for an hour he had been a part of it. Rowan looked at his own hands. They still had a little dirt on them from the last time he helped Ivy up. He smiled and decided not to wipe it off. Not yet. Something had changed that afternoon. He didn't know exactly what, and he didn't know what it meant, but he knew he wanted to be here next Sunday. For the first time in a long time, Rowan had something to look forward to besides work, and for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. The following Sunday arrived faster than Rowan expected. He was at the park 15 minutes early, sitting on the same bench, watching the children play. When he saw Ivy appear with the old bicycle, something inside him settled. "Rowan!" she yelled, running towards him. "You came!" "Of course I came," he replied, standing up. "We had a deal, didn't we?" She smiled that way that lit up her entire face. "Mom said you might have changed your mind, that sometimes grown-ups do that." "I don't," Rowan said, and he realized it was true. "If I promise something, I keep it." "Good," Ivy said, relieved, "because I practiced all week in my head. I dreamed I was flying on the bike." Rowan laughed. "Then let's see if we can get you off the ground today." They spent the whole afternoon trying. The bike kept making strange noises, but Ivy was more confident. She managed to pedal longer distances before losing her balance, and each small achievement was celebrated like an Olympic victory. "Did you see that?" she shouted, after managing an almost complete lap without falling. 10 seconds. I counted." I sure did, Rowan said, applauding. You're becoming a pro. When it was time to go, Ivy waved enthusiastically. Next Sunday I'm going to make it to that tree, she shouted, pointing to the other side of the park. We'll see, Rowan laughed, waving back. And that's how it started. Every Sunday at 3 in the afternoon, Rowan was at the park, and every Sunday, Ivy showed up with her old bicycle and a smile that made his day make sense. During the week, he found himself thinking about her. In the middle of important meetings, his mind would wander to the conversations they'd had. On Fridays, he would start counting the days until Sunday. On the third Sunday, she arrived with some news. Rowan, I learned a new word at school. Oh yeah. What is it? Perseverance, she said, pronouncing each syllable carefully. The teacher said it's when you don't give up, even when it's hard. That's an important word, Rowan said. That's what I have with the bike, right? Perseverance. You sure do, a lot of it. Ivy smiled, proud. The teacher said everyone needs to have perseverance in life. Do you have it? Rowan paused. Did he have perseverance? In his work, certainly. But in life, I think I'm learning, he said honestly. With me, she asked, hopeful. With you, he confirmed. That Sunday, she managed to do 3 full laps before stopping, out of breath but happy. See, she said, perseverance. Rowan laughed and helped her off the bike. Perseverance. Do you know what else the teacher said? Ivy continued, sitting on the grass to rest. That perseverance isn't just about not giving up. It's also about being kind to yourself when things don't work out. She sounds like a very wise teacher. She is, and she always says things that make you think. Rowan sat down next to her. And you? What do you think about perseverance? That it's like planting a flower, she said, playing with the grass. Mom showed me. You plant it, water it every day, even when you don't see anything happening, and one day the flower appears. And the bicycle is your flower. Ivy thought for a moment. No, the bicycle is just the beginning. The flower is feeling brave. You're already brave, he said. How do you know? Because you asked me for help, and that takes courage. Ivy smiled. You're brave too, then. Why? Because you said yes. On the 4th Sunday, Ivy arrived quieter than usual. Did something happen? Rowan asked as he helped her onto the bike. The teacher asked about my dad, she said quietly, for Father's Day at school. Rowan felt his heart ache. And what did you say? That I don't have one, she answered, as always, without drama, but that I have you. The words hit Rowan like lightning. She had told her teacher about him, like he was someone important. What did the teacher say? That it's okay. That families are different, and that the people who truly love us are what matter. Ivy looked at him with those blue eyes full of sincerity. Do you truly love me, Rowan? The question was so direct, so honest, that he couldn't do anything but answer in the same way. I do, Ivy. The smile that spread across her face was like the sunrise. I love you too, she said simply. Now can we ride? I want to show you I can make it to that tree. And she did. She pedaled to the tree and back, laughing the whole time. Rowan, she said when she stopped, can I tell you a secret? Of course. I pretend you're my dad when I'm at school. When the other kids talk about their dads, I think of you. Rowan felt a lump form in his throat. And how does that make you feel? Happy, she said simply, because I know you'll be here on Sunday, always. Always, he repeated, and it was a promise. On the 5th Sunday, she arrived full of stories about her mother. Mum worked late every day this week, she recounted as she pedaled slowly, with Rowan jogging alongside. Her salon is always busy. People really like the way she cuts hair. Your mum must be very good at what she does, Rowan said. She is. She makes people pretty on the outside. But she says what's important is to be pretty on the inside. She's right. You're pretty on the inside, and Rowan, Ivy said suddenly, stopping the bike to look at him. That's why I like you. Rowan didn't know what to say. No one had ever said anything like that to him. Thank you, he managed to say. You are too very pretty on the inside. Mom says I take after her, Ivy said, proud, but I think I take after you too. Because you're kind like she is. What's she like, your mum? Ivy pedaled a little further before answering. She's always tired, but she never gets mad at me. And when I have nightmares, she comes into my room and sings a song. And she makes pancakes in the shape of my favorite animal when I'm sad. What's your favorite animal? Elephant, because they never forget the people they love. Rowan smiled. Like you. Like me, she confirmed. I'm never going to forget you, Rowan. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking. Ivy told him about school, about her friends, about her dreams. Rowan listened to every word as if it were the most important thing in the world. Rowan, do you have friends? She asked. I have colleagues from work, he answered. That's not the same thing, is it? No, it's not. Why not? Rowan thought. Friends are people you choose to have around, who make you laugh, who care when you're sad. Like I do with you. Like you do with me, he confirmed. So I'm your friend. You're much more than a friend. What then? Rowan looked at her. You're special. You've changed my life. How? You taught me that Sunday can be the best day of the week. On the 6th Sunday, it rained. Rowan stayed home, restless, not knowing what to do with his free time. It was strange how Sunday had become the day he looked forward to most all week. On the 7th Sunday, Ivy arrived, talking non-stop. I missed you so much, she said, running to hug him. Last Sunday was the most boring day of my life. I missed you too, Rowan admitted, and it was true. Really? She asked, surprised. But you have other things to do, right? Important grown-up things. Rowan looked at her. Other things. Work, contracts, meetings. None of it seemed important compared to this moment. Not as important as this, he said. Not even as important as riding bikes with me. Not even as important as riding bikes with you. Ivy smiled and ran to her bike. Then let's go. I have news. The news was that she had practiced on a neighbor's borrowed bike during the week. I managed to ride by myself, she shouted, without anyone holding on. And it was true. That Sunday, Ivy pedaled alone for the first time. Rowan ran after her, shouting with joy, more excited than she was. You did it, he said when she stopped, out of breath. You really did it. I did it, she agreed, jumping off the bike to hug him. And you're the one who taught me. Rowan hugged her back, feeling something immense and warm grow in his chest. It was pride. It was love. It was a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. Now I can teach other kids, she said, excited. Like you taught me. You sure can, Rowan laughed. But first, let's perfect your technique. On the 8th Sunday, they already had a routine. Ivy would arrive, they would talk for a bit, she would ride her bike and they would talk some more. It was simple. It was perfect. Rowan, she said that day, after pedaling a few laps. Can I ask you a question? Of course. Why don't you have kids? The question caught him off guard. Why didn't he have kids? He always thought he would one day. When he found the right person, when the timing was ideal. I guess I never found the right person, he said honestly. And now, she asked, have you found her? Rowan looked at her. This 5-year-old girl, blonde with blue eyes, who had appeared in his life out of nowhere and changed everything. I think so, he said softly. Me? She asked, hopeful. You? Ivy smiled and went back to pedaling, as if that were the most natural answer in the world. Rowan, do you want to have your own kids? She asked a few minutes later. What do you mean? Kids that came out of your tummy, like I came out of my mom's tummy. Rowan laughed at the way she explained it. I don't know. I never thought much about it. Because you already have me, right? Because I already have you, he agreed. And is that enough? Rowan stopped jogging and looked at her. She had stopped the bike and was waiting for an answer, serious for the first time that day. It's more than enough, he said. It's perfect. On the 9th Sunday, she arrived with a scrape on her elbow. What happened? Rowan asked, concerned. I fell out of bed, she laughed. I was dreaming I was flying and rolled off. Does it hurt? A little bit, but Mom said it will be better soon. Rowan examined the scrape. It was small, just a scratch, but he felt responsible anyway. Let's take it easy today, okay? Okay, she agreed. But can I ride just a little? He couldn't say no. He never could. "Rowan, can I tell you something else?" she asked while adjusting her helmet. "Always. I told Mom that you're like a dad to me. And do you know what she said?" "What?" "That she noticed that I've changed since you showed up." "Changed how?" "I'm less sad, and I sleep better, and I don't have nightmares about not having a dad anymore." Rowan felt a pang in his chest. "You had nightmares?" "Sometimes. I used to dream I was the only kid in the world without a dad. But not anymore." "Why?" "Because now I have you." "You've always had me," he said quietly. "Since the first day, I know," she smiled. "I always knew." They had been at the park for half an hour when it happened. Ivy was pedaling at a speed she had mastered, making a turn she had made dozens of times. But a small pebble on the path made the front wheel lock. She fell sideways, the bike on top of her. Rowan ran faster than he had ever run in his life. "Ivy!" he shouted, pushing the bike away and kneeling beside her. She was sitting on the grass, looking at her left knee. There was blood, not much, but enough to make Rowan's heart race. "Are you okay?" he asked, his hands trembling as he checked to see if she was hurt anywhere else. "I am," she said, looking at her knee with more curiosity than pain. "It's just a scrape. It'll heal soon." Her calmness contrasted with his panic. Rowan looked around, trying to figure out what to do. He needed to clean the wound. He needed to make sure she was okay. "Wait here," he said. "I'll get some water." "Rowan," she called as he was getting up. "It's okay, it was nothing." But to him, it didn't feel like nothing. To him, it felt huge. He ran back from the water fountain with a wet handkerchief. He knelt beside her again and, with infinite care, began to clean her scraped knee. "Does it hurt?" he asked quietly. "A little bit," she admitted. "But you're being very gentle." Rowan cleaned every tiny grain of sand, every drop of blood, as if it were the most important thing he had ever done. His hands, accustomed to signing contracts and typing on keyboards, were being more delicate than they had ever been. "Mom does it like this too," Ivy said softly, "when I get hurt. She's always very careful." "This is how you do it," Rowan said, focused on the task. "Did someone teach you?" Rowan paused. Who had taught him? He didn't remember anyone taking care of him like this when he was a child. "No," he said honestly. "I think it's instinct." "Dad instinct," she said, smiling despite her scraped knee. "There," he said when he finished. "How is it?" Ivy looked at her knee, then at him. "Much better, thank you." She stood up and tested her leg. "It's fine. Can I ride my bike again?" "I think we should stop for today," Rowan said, his heart still pounding. "Okay," she agreed easily. "But I'll be back next Sunday, right?" "Of course you'll be back." Ivy smiled and sat on the grass next to him. "Rowan? You took care of me just like a dad would." He looked at her, her knee with the makeshift bandage, her blonde hair messy from the fall, her blue eyes full of trust in him. The gesture had been small, cleaning a scrape. Any adult would have done the same, but for him it had been enormous. Because for the first time in his life, he had felt what it was to care for someone in that way. Not just helping, not just solving a problem, caring, protecting, loving. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For letting me take care of you." Ivy smiled and rested her head on his shoulder. "You can always take care of me," she said simply. "That's what dads are for, right?" Rowan looked out at the park, the other children playing, the families together, and there he was, with this little girl leaning on his shoulder, feeling more complete than he had ever felt. "Dad," she said softly, testing the word. "Can I call you Dad?" Rowan felt his eyes sting. He swallowed hard before he could answer. "How you can," he said, his voice hoarse with emotion. "Yes, you can." Ivy smiled against his shoulder. "Dad," she repeated, as if trying out how the words sounded. "My dad." Sunday had become much more than just a day of the week. It had become the day that made everything make sense. When it was time to go, Ivy stood up and hugged him tightly. "Thanks for taking care of me today, Dad," she said naturally, as if it had always been this way. "I will always take care of you," Rowan replied, and it was more than a promise. It was an oath. Ivy waved as she walked away, and Rowan stood there, watching her leave. But this time, something was different. She wasn't just leaving, she was going home. And he was now part of that home, that world, that life. Sunday had become the day he became a father, and nothing would ever be the same. The following Sunday, Rowan arrived at the park carrying a small toolbox he had borrowed from his building's janitor. During the week, he couldn't stop thinking about Ivy's bike. The strange noises, the crooked seat, the misaligned training wheels. Maybe he could fix it. "Rowan!" Ivy shouted, running towards him with the bike making the same metallic sound as always. "You brought a box." "I did," he smiled. "I thought I'd take a look at your bike, see if I can improve a few things." Ivy's eyes lit up. "Really? You know how to fix bikes?" "I'm about to find out," Rowan said, opening the box and revealing screwdrivers, pliers, and other tools. "But first, let's see what's going on here." They turned the bike upside down on the grass. Rowan knelt beside it, examining each part carefully. Ivy sat next to him, watching his every move. "See this," he said, pointing to the chain. "It's really loose. That's why it makes so much noise and sometimes slips." "Can you fix it?" "I'll try." Rowan picked up a wrench and started to work. He wasn't an expert, but he had grown up watching his own father tinker with things around the house. Some memories came back as he adjusted the bolts. "My dad used to do this," he said without thinking. "Did he teach you?" Rowan paused for a moment. "A little, but I was too young to really understand." "Is he still here?" "No. He left a long time ago." Ivy was quiet for a moment, processing the information. "Do you miss him?" she asked quietly. "Sometimes," Rowan admitted, "especially at moments like this. When I wish I knew how to do something he could have taught me. But you're learning on your own," Ivy said, touching his arm. "That's harder, but it's also braver." Rowan looked at her. How did a 5-year-old manage to say such right things? "Thank you," he said softly, "for thinking that." "It's true," she insisted. "And now you're teaching me that we can try to fix things, even when we don't really know how." Rowan smiled and went back to work. He managed to tighten the chain a bit, but it still wasn't perfect. Next, he tried to straighten the seat. "This one is tough," he muttered, struggling with the rusted bolts. "That's okay," Ivy said. "I'm used to it this way." But Rowan wasn't satisfied. He wanted her to have a bike that worked properly, not because hers was no good, but because she deserved something better. After 20 minutes of work, he had managed to improve a few things. The chain was a little tighter, the seat a little less crooked. But the training wheels were still at different heights, and there were other things he simply didn't know how to fix. "There," he said, turning the bike back over. "Shall we test it?" Ivy climbed on excitedly. The bike really was a bit better. The noise had lessened, and she could pedal more smoothly. "It's so much better," she shouted after a few laps. "Thank you," Rowan smiled, but inside he knew it still wasn't good enough. The bike needed more than he could offer with his limited skills. "Rowan," Ivy said, stopping beside him, "do you fix everything?" He looked at her, then at the bike, then back at her. "Not always," he said honestly, "but I try." Ivy smiled that way that lit up everything around her. "That's what matters," she said, "that you try." "Is it?" "It is. Mom always says that trying is the most important part, because sometimes you succeed and sometimes you don't, but you always learn something." "And what did you learn today?" Ivy thought for a moment, balancing on the bike. "That you care about me enough to try to fix my broken things," she said simply. The words hit Rowan in the chest. She was right. He did care, more than he had realized. "I will always try to fix things for you," he said. "Always." "I know," Ivy smiled. "That's why you're the best dad in the world." They spent the rest of the afternoon playing, but Rowan's mind was at work. As he ran after Ivy, as he helped her when she fell, as he laughed at her jokes, an idea grew in his head. He couldn't completely fix that bike, but maybe he could do something better. During the week, the idea wouldn't leave his mind. On Monday, he found himself browsing bike shops online during his lunch break. On Tuesday, he passed by a shop on his way to the office and stopped to look in the window. There were bikes of all sizes and colors, some with baskets on the front, others with colorful streamers on the handlebars, all new, shiny, perfect. Ivy deserved one of those. On Wednesday, he went back to the shop during his lunch hour. "Can I help you?" a friendly salesman asked. "I'm looking for a bicycle for a 5-year-old girl," Rowan said. "Something special." Special how? Rowan thought. How could he explain what Ivy meant to him? How could he explain that she had completely changed his life? "She's learning to ride," he finally said, "and she's doing great. I want something that shows how proud I am of her." The salesman smiled. "I understand, for your daughter." Rowan hesitated for only a second. "Yes, for my daughter." The salesman led him to a special section of the store. There were small, colorful bikes, some with training wheels, others without. "This one is one of our most popular," the salesman said, pointing to a pink bike with a basket on the front. "It comes with training wheels that can be removed when she's ready." It was nice, but Rowan knew Ivy deserved something unique. "Do you have anything more personalized?" "Oh, yes," the salesman perked up. "We can engrave her name on the front plate, and there are other customization options as well." Rowan felt his heart speed up. "Can you engrave Ivy?" "Of course." "What font would you prefer?" They spent the next half hour choosing every detail. The color, a soft blue that matched her eyes. The basket, white for contrast. The streamers, also blue, and the name engraved in gold letters. "When will it be ready?" Rowan asked. "By Friday. Would you like us to gift wrap it?" "No," Rowan said, imagining Ivy's face when she saw the bike. "I want her to see it right away." On Friday evening, Rowan went to pick up the bicycle. When he saw it ready, he felt a tightness in his chest. It was perfect, exactly what he had imagined. "Your daughter is going to love it," the salesman said, helping load the bike into his car. "Yes, she will," Rowan agreed, and for the first time in a long time he was absolutely sure of something. On Saturday, he could barely sleep. On Sunday morning, he woke up earlier than usual and just stared at the bike in his living room. He had taken it out of the car the night before and placed it there, just to make sure it was real. At 2 in the afternoon, he loaded the bike into his car and drove to the park. He arrived half an hour early and hid the bike behind a large tree, far from the bench where they always met. When he saw Ivy arriving with the old bike, his heart leaped. "Rowan," she yelled, waving excitedly. "Hi, Ivy," he said, trying to sound casual. "How was your week?" "Good. I practiced a lot. The bike is working much better since you fixed it," Rowan smiled. "That's great. Listen, before we start practicing today, I have a surprise for you." Ivy's eyes widened. "A surprise? For me?" "For you. Want to see?" "Yes," she jumped out, excited. Rowan led her to the tree where he had hidden the bike. "Close your eyes," he said. "Why?" "Trust me." Ivy squeezed her eyes shut and held his hand. Rowan guided her to the right spot and then went to get the bike. "You can open them." Ivy opened her eyes and stood completely still. For a moment, Rowan worried. Had he gone overboard? Did she not like it? Then she whispered, "Is it for me?" "It's for you." She approached it slowly, as if she were afraid of breaking something. She ran her fingers over the basket, the handlebars, the blue streamers. When she saw her name engraved on the front plate, she gasped. "It has my name," she said softly. "Ivy, my real name." "Do you like it?" Rowan asked, nervous. Instead of answering, Ivy looked at him with her eyes full of tears. They weren't sad tears, they were tears of pure joy. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life," she said. "Is it really mine?" "It's really yours. Forever. Forever." Ivy ran to him and hugged him with all the strength she had. Rowan hugged her back, feeling something immense grow in his chest. "Thank you," she whispered against his chest. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." "You don't have to thank me," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You deserve this, and so much more." Ivy pulled away and looked at the bike again. "Now I can really ride," she said, her smile wider than Rowan had ever seen. Can I? Of course you can. It's yours. Ivy got on the new bike and immediately noticed the difference. There were no strange noises. The seat was at the perfect height. The training wheels were aligned. Everything worked as it should. It's like riding a cloud, she yelled, pedaling in circles. Hey, it's so smooth. Rowan stood still, watching her explore every inch of the new bike. The basket, the streamers, the smoothness of the pedals, she was radiant. Rowan, she shouted, stopping in front of him. Did you see how it rides? It's perfect. I saw, he said, smiling so much his cheeks ached. You're the one who's perfect? Ivy got off the bike and hugged him again. This time, Rowan noticed something different in the hug. It wasn't just gratitude, it was love. Pure, complete, unconditional love. You are the most special person in the world, she said, and I am the luckiest girl in the world. Rowan closed his eyes and hugged her tighter. For the first time in his life, he understood what it meant to be needed, not because of his job, not because of money or success, because of love. He felt something that work had never brought him, something that no one case, no satisfied client, no promotion had ever been able to give him. Meaning, real, deep, transformative meaning. I love you, Ivy, he said softly. I love you too, Rowan, she replied, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. They spent the rest of the afternoon testing out the new bike. Ivy pedaled faster, with more confidence, with more joy than ever before, and with every lap she took, with every laugh she let out, Rowan felt that meaning grow inside him. It wasn't about giving a gift. It wasn't about impressing her. It was about caring. It was about seeing someone you love happy. It was about being part of something bigger than yourself. As the sun began to set, Rowan checked his watch. I think it's time to take you home, he said. Your mom must be waiting. Can I take the bike? Ivy asked, worried. Of course you can. It's yours now. And the old one. We'll take it too. Maybe your mum will want to keep it, Ivy agreed. It was important. It's the one that brought me to you. Rowan smiled. It certainly was. They walked to the car. Rowan opened the trunk and carefully placed the new bike inside, adjusting it so it wouldn't get scratched. Then he did the same with the old one. Ready? He asked. Ready, Ivy said, climbing into the passenger seat. Rowan started the car and pulled out of the park's parking lot. On the way, Ivy couldn't stop talking about the new bike. How smooth it was, how pretty the colors were, how special it was to have her name engraved on it. Rowan, she said as they were almost there. Can I tell you a secret? Of course. This was the best surprise of my entire life, she said quietly. No one has ever given me something so special. Rowan felt his chest tighten. You deserve special things, Ivy. Always. When they reached her street, Rowan parked in front of a small, simple but well-kept house. There were flowers out front and colorful curtains in the windows. This is it, Ivy said, excited. Mum is going to be so surprised. Rowan got out of the car and went to the trunk. He took out the new bike first, holding it carefully, then the old one. Can you carry them both? He asked. I can, Ivy said, grabbing the new bike with both hands. Hey, it's so light. Rowan took the old bike and followed her to the front door. Thanks for bringing me home, Ivy said, and thank you for the most beautiful bike in the world. You're welcome, Rowan smiled. See you next Sunday? Yes, with my new bike. Ivy waved excitedly as Rowan walked back to his car. He got in, started the engine, and gave one last wave before driving off. On the way home, he couldn't stop smiling. The look on Ivy's face when she saw the bike, the tight hug, the pure joy in her voice, all of it would be forever etched in his memory. For the first time in a long time, he had done something that truly mattered, and that made all the difference. Rowan parked in front of the small, well-kept house. There were flowers out front and colorful curtains in the windows. Ivy jumped out of the car, radiant, holding the new bicycle carefully. Mom! She shouted, running to the door. Mom! Look what Rowan gave me! The door opened and a blonde woman appeared. Rowan could see immediately where Ivy had gotten her blue eyes, but there was something different in the way she carried herself. Determination, strength. Elise looked first at her daughter, then at the new bicycle, then at Rowan, who was standing by the car. The expression on her face changed quickly, surprise, confusion, and something he couldn't quite decipher. "Ivy, what?" she began, but her daughter interrupted. "Look, Mum." Ivy pointed to the small golden plate. "It has my name, I-V-Y, and it has a basket, and it's all blue like my eyes." Elise knelt beside the bike, examining every detail. Rowan could see the exact moment she realized it wasn't just any bicycle, it was expensive, customized, special. She stood up slowly and looked at Rowan, who was still hesitating by the car. "You must be Rowan," she said, her voice controlled but polite. "Yes," he replied, approaching. "And you're Elise. Ivy talks about you a lot." "She talks a lot about you too," Elise said, and there was something in the way she spoke that made Rowan feel like he was being evaluated. "Mom, did you see how it rides?" Ivy interrupted, already climbing onto the bike. "It's like riding a cloud." "Be careful, sweetie," Elise said automatically, then looked back at Rowan. Can I talk to you?" "Of course." "Ivy, can you play out front here, without leaving the yard?" "I can," Ivy agreed, pedaling in small circles. Elise gestured for Rowan to come closer. When he was near enough, she held out her hand. "I'm Elise, Ivy's mum." "It's a pleasure to meet you," he replied, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm, confident. "I wanted to thank you," Elise said, but her voice carried more than just gratitude, "for everything you've been doing for her. But this," she gestured toward the bike, "this is too much." "Ivy deserves it," Rowan said simply. "Even so. Can I ask why?" The question was direct, but not hostile. It was a mother's question, from someone who needed to understand the intentions of a stranger who had appeared in her daughter's life and was now giving expensive gifts. "Because she asked me for help," Rowan said honestly, "and because she's special, anyone can see that." Elise studied him for a moment. Rowan felt as if he were undergoing a silent test. "Would you like to come in?" she finally asked. "For some coffee? If it's not too much trouble." "Ivy," Elise called, "let's go inside." "You can bring your bike." The house inside was even cozier than it looked from the outside, small but lovingly organized. There were Ivy's drawings on the fridge, colorful pillows on the couch, and a pleasant smell of something recently cooked. "Have a seat," Elise said, pointing to the kitchen table. "I'll make some coffee." Rowan sat and watched as she prepared the drink. There was an economy to every movement, an efficiency born of necessity. Nothing was wasted. Everything had its place. "Ivy tells me you two meet on Sundays," Elise said as she waited for the coffee to brew. "Yes, for a few weeks now. She wanted to learn how to ride a bike. And you taught her." "I tried to help." Elise smiled for the first time since he had arrived. It was a small, Cateens but genuine smile. She came home completely different after the first Sunday, more confident, happier. "She's an amazing girl." "She is," Elise agreed, pouring the coffee. "But sometimes I worry. She gets attached to people quickly. And not always." She didn't finish the sentence, but Rowan understood. "I'm not going to disappear," he said softly. "How can you be so sure?" "Because she's changed my life too." Elise looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Mom," Ivy yelled from the living room. "Can I show Rowan my room?" "You can," Elise replied. Ivy dragged Rowan to see her little room. It was small but full of color. Drawings on the walls, stuffed animals on the bed, books stacked on a low shelf. "This is where I sleep," she said proudly. "And that's where I play, and that's a picture of my grandma." Rowan looked at the photo by the bed. An elderly woman smiling, hugging an even smaller Ivy. "She was beautiful," he said. "She was. Mom says she's in heaven now, but she's always watching over me. I'm sure she is." When they returned to the kitchen, Elise was finishing up some dishes. "Let me get that," Rowan said automatically. "You don't have to." "I want to." They washed the dishes together in silence. It was a simple moment, but Rowan felt as if he were being accepted into something bigger. "Rowan," Elise said when they finished, "can I ask you a personal question?" Of course. Do you have family? No, not in the way you two do. And do you want to? Rowan looked over at Ivy, who was playing with a doll in the living room, singing softly to herself. I think I already do, he said. Elise smiled. This time, it was a full smile. Well, she said, how about you stay for dinner? It's nothing special, but I'd love to. During dinner, simple pasta with tomato sauce, Rowan observed the dynamic between mother and daughter. There was a lightness there that he wasn't used to. Even when Ivy spilled juice on the table, Elise just laughed and said, It happens. How do you do that? He asked, when Ivy went to brush her teeth. Do what? Make everything so light. Even when things are hard. Elise looked at him for a moment, then smiled. I don't think I have a choice. Life is hard enough as it is. If I don't bring the lightness, who will? Rowan nodded. It was a simple yet profound philosophy. Besides, Elise continued, I have Ivy. She teaches me every day that it's possible to find joy in the small things. Like a new bicycle? Like a new bicycle, she agreed. Or like having someone who cares enough to teach my daughter how to ride one. In the weeks that followed, Rowan became a part of their routine. He would pick Ivy up from school when Elise had clients at the salon. He helped with homework. He stayed for dinner when he was invited. Elise opened up slowly. She told him about the salon, about the difficulties of raising a daughter alone, about the dreams she had for Ivy. Rowan listened to everything, offering help when he could, simply being present when he couldn't do more. Rowan is family now, Ivy announced one day, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Elise looked at him with a smile that held a bit of surprise, but a lot of affection. He is, she agreed. I think he is. That night, when Rowan got back to his apartment, he looked around and realized how empty the place felt, not just physically, but emotionally. His real home was now a small house with flowers in the yard, where a 5-year-old girl did her homework at the kitchen table, and a strong woman taught him that life could be light, even when it was hard. For the first time in his adult life, Rowan felt truly welcomed, truly like he belonged, and that changed everything. It was a Thursday when it happened. Rowan was helping Ivy with her math homework at the kitchen table when she looked up at him and said, as naturally as anything, Rowan, when are you going to move in with us? The question hit him like a lightning bolt. He froze with the pencil in midair, staring at her. Why do you ask that? Because you're here every day, and we like you, and you like us. So it makes sense, right? Ivy went back to her math problem as if she had asked a completely normal question, but Rowan sat there, motionless, his heart pounding. Moving in, family, forever. The words echoed in his mind for the rest of the evening. Even after Elise got home from the salon, even during dinner, even as he said goodbye and went home. In his silent apartment, Rowan sat on the sofa and suddenly realized what was happening. He was getting attached, deeply, completely, and that scared him more than any court case he had ever faced. That night, he could barely sleep. Memories he had buried years ago began to surface, one by one, like ghosts that refused to stay dead. Caroline. He was 28 when he met her. She was an architect and smart, funny. They lived together for 3 years. Rowan thought they would get married, have kids, grow old together, until the day he came home and found only a note on the kitchen table. It's not your fault. I can't. I need more from life. I'm sorry. She had taken her things, and taken with her any ability he had to trust that people would stay. Rowan stood up and went to the window. The city was quiet, but his mind was loud. What was he doing? How had he let himself get this far again? Ivy trusted him. Elise had opened her home to him. They included him in everything, as if he were a permanent part of their lives. But what if he wasn't? What if one day he woke up and decided this was too much? What if he left them the way Caroline had left him? I don't know if I can go through that again, he murmured to the window pane. But this time would be worse, because this time it wasn't just his heart that would break. It was the heart of a 5-year-old girl who believed he would stay forever. On Friday, when Ivy saw him at school, she ran up to him with her usual smile. Rowan, guess what? The teacher said I'm the best in the class at math now. That's great, he said, but his voice came out strange, distant. Ivy noticed immediately. Are you okay? I'm fine, just tired. On the way home, Ivy chattered as usual, but Rowan was barely listening. His mind was occupied with a decision he knew he had to make. Rowan? Ivy called to him when they arrived at her house. Are you staying for dinner tonight? I can't, he said quickly. I have work. Oh, she looked disappointed. Okay, see you Sunday then. See you Sunday. But Rowan already knew there would be no Sunday. On Saturday half, he called Elise. Hello, she answered, and he could hear Ivy singing in the background. Hi, Elise. Listen, I won't be able to make it tomorrow. Something came up at work. Oh, that's a shame. Ivy was excited to show you how she can ride without the training wheels now. Yeah, maybe next week. Okay. Are you all right? Your voice sounds strange. I'm fine. Just tired. But he wasn't fine. And it wasn't next week. Rowan threw himself into his work like a drowning man. He took cases he would normally refuse. He worked late every night. He came home exhausted and went straight to bed. But even so, he couldn't get them out of his head. On Monday, during an important meeting, he found himself wondering if Ivy had remembered to take her snack to school. On Tuesday, while reviewing a contract, he remembered how Elise laughed when Ivy told bad jokes at dinner. On Wednesday, he passed a toy store and saw a doll he knew Ivy would love. On Thursday, Elise called. Rowan, I just wanted to know if everything is okay. Ivy asks about you every day. Everything's fine, he lied. Just really busy with work. I see. Well, when things calm down, of course. But things didn't calm down, because the problem wasn't work. The problem was fear. On Fridays, he worked until 11 at night. When he got home, there was a message on his voicemail. Hi, Rowan, it's Ivy. Mom let me use her phone. I just wanted to say I miss you. Are you okay? Did you eat properly today? Mom says sometimes grown-ups forget to eat when they're sad. You're not sad, are you? Because I'm learning a new song on the guitar at school and I want to play it for you. Bye. I love you. Rowan listened to the message 3 times. On the third mice, he had to sit down. What was he doing? Why was he running away from the best thing that had ever happened to him? But every time he thought about going back, Caroline's voice echoed in his head. It's not your fault. I can't. What if one day he got tired of it? What if one day he looked at Ivy and Elise and felt like he needed more from life? What if he hurt them the same way he had been hurt? On Saturday, he went to the office even though he had nothing urgent to do. He just sat there, staring at contracts that didn't need reviewing. Because it was better than being at home thinking about them. But it was useless. They were everywhere, in the mug Ivy had picked out for him. In the graduation photo on his desk, where she had said he looked important and kind at the same time, on the sticky note on his computer with a drawing she had made of him. Sunday came and went. Rowan stayed in his apartment watching television without seeing anything. He kept checking the clock, knowing that at this time they would be at the park, that Ivy would be riding her new bike, that maybe she was looking at the bench where they used to sit, hoping to see him appear. On Monday, during a work call, the client asked if he was paying attention, because he had asked the same question 3 times. On Tuesday, he forgot an important meeting because he was wondering if Ivy had managed to do her homework by herself. On Wednesday, he found a drawing she had made for him weeks ago in his jacket pocket. It was him, her and Elise, all smiling, in front of their house. Above, in her neat handwriting, it said, "My family." Rowan looked at the drawing for a long time. Then he folded it carefully and put it in his wallet. On Thursday, as Elise called again. "Rowan, I know you said you're busy, but Ivy is... She's sad. She thinks she did something wrong, that you're mad at her." Rowan closed his eyes. "I'm not mad." "Then what's going on? Because the last time you were here, it seemed like you were part of the family." "And now, I don't know, Elise. I don't know. Do you want to talk about whatever it is that's scaring you?" The word scaring hit him like a slap, because that's exactly what it was. He was scared. I don't know if I can, he said, his voice barely a whisper. Can what? Go through this again. Through what? But Rowan couldn't answer. He couldn't explain about Caroline, about the letter, about the way he felt when he woke up that day and found he was alone again. Rowan, Elise called. I have to go, he said, and hung up. That night, he dreamed of Ivy. She was at the park, on her new bike, looking for him. In the dream, he wanted to go to her, but his feet wouldn't move. She called to him, waved, but he couldn't get closer. He woke up sweating, his heart racing. He looked at the clock. 3 a.m, and for the first time since he had decided to pull away, Rowan admitted to himself the truth he had been trying to avoid. He couldn't get them out of his head because they were already a part of him. Ivy and Elise weren't just people he visited on weekends, they were his family, and he was so afraid of losing them that he was losing them anyway. The irony was painful, but the fear was stronger. So he kept running. Sunday. 3 weeks later, Rowan parked in the same spot as always, but he took his time getting out of the car. His hands were trembling slightly on the steering wheel. What was he doing here? After 3 weeks of silence, after all the unanswered calls, after running away like a coward. But the night before, he had looked at Ivy's drawing in his wallet for the 100th time. My family, it said at the top, and he could no longer pretend he could live without them. He got out of the car and walked to the bench where it had all begun. He sat and waited, not knowing if they would still come. Maybe Elise had given up on him. Maybe Ivy had understood that he wasn't reliable. Then he saw her. Ivy appeared on the horizon, riding the blue bicycle he had given her. Even from a distance, he could see that she had seen him too. The bike stopped for a moment, as if she were deciding what to do. Then she started pedaling toward him, slowly at first, then faster, then rushing as if her life depended on it. Rowan, she yelled, jumping off the bike before it even came to a complete stop and running to him. He stood up, prepared for apologies, for difficult explanations, for the justified anger of a child who had been abandoned. Instead, Ivy hugged him. You took a while, she said against his chest, but I knew you would come back. Rowan felt his eyes sting. She had waited for him. Even after 3 weeks, she had believed he would come back. How did you know? He asked, his voice hoarse. Because you love me, she said simply, pulling away to look at him. And people who love each other don't give up on each other forever. Rowan hugged her again, tighter this time. I'm sorry I disappeared. It's okay, Ivy said. You were scared, right? He looked at her, surprised. How do you know? Mom explained. She said that sometimes grown-ups get scared of good things because they've been hurt before, and that it's not their fault, but it's not right either. Your mom is very wise. She is. She was scared too, that you wouldn't really come back. And you, I wasn't. I knew you would come back because you're my family. And family always comes back. They spent the afternoon together as if the 3 weeks hadn't happened. Ivy showed him everything she had learned on the bike, told stories from school, made bad jokes that made Rowan laugh until his stomach hurt. Rowan, she said as they were getting ready to leave, do you want to see Mom's salon? Of course. If she doesn't mind. She won't mind. She likes you, even when you ran away. Elise's salon was a few blocks from the park. It was small, with a simple sign out front, Elise, Hair and Beauty. Ivy pushed the door open, and a small bell chimed. Mom, she yelled. I brought Rowan to visit. Elise appeared from the back, drying her hands on a towel. When she saw Rowan, her face went through several expressions quickly. Surprise, relief, a hint of anger, and then something that looked like forgiveness. Hi, she said simply. Hi, he replied. May I come in? Of course. Rowan entered and immediately noticed something was wrong. The salon was empty of clients, even though it was a Sunday afternoon, a time Elise had said was busy. There were only 2 cutting chairs, and one of them had torn upholstery. The shelves that should have been full of products had only a few scattered bottles. Elise noticed his gaze scanning the place. It's not at its best right now, she said, trying to sound casual. Sundays have been quieter lately. But Rowan saw more than she wanted to show. He saw how the paint was peeling on some walls. He saw how some light bulbs were burnt out. He saw the tension in her shoulders, the way she avoided looking directly at him. "It's nice," he said, a gentle lie. "Cozy." "Thank you." "Ivy, can you show Rowan where we keep the colourful towels?" As Ivy dragged him to see the towels, Rowan observed discreetly. There were piles of papers on a small desk in the back. Bills, it seemed, some with red stamps that he recognized as overdue notices. In the corner, a hairdryer had a cord patched with electrical tape. Several waiting chairs were covered to hide the wear and tear. "Rowan, look," Ivy showed him the colourful towels. "Mum lets me pick the colour for each client." "That's cool," he said, but his mind was working, calculating, assessing. When they said goodbye, Elise was visibly tired. "Thank you for coming back," she said quietly, while Ivy put her bike away. "She missed you a lot. I missed her too, both of you. Don't do that again, please. Don't just disappear without an explanation." "I won't." "Promise?" "I promise." Elise nodded, but he could see there was still doubt in her eyes. On the way home, Rowan couldn't stop thinking about the salon, about Elise's tension, the bills on the desk, the way she tried to hide that things weren't okay. On Monday, instead of going straight to the office, he drove by the salon. It was closed, but he jotted down the exact address. During his lunch break, he made a few calls. He found out who the main suppliers of salon products in the area were. He found out what kind of equipment Elise needed. He discovered, through discreet research, exactly what the salon's debts were. They were not small. On Tuesday, he visited the main supplier. He paid all of Elise's overdue bills and prepaid for 3 months of supplies. "When the next delivery is made," he told the manager, "don't mention that it was paid for by me. Just say you received the payment." "But sir," "Please. It's important." On Wednesday, he bought new equipment, a professional hairdryer, a new cutting chair, quality products to restock her inventory. Everything would be delivered anonymously. On Thursday, he paid off the overdue utility bills. On Friday, when he arrived at the salon to pick up Ivy from school as he had promised Elise, he found it bustling. There were clients waiting. Elise was working on a woman using new products that shone on the organized shelves. "Rowan," Ivy ran to him, "look how nice Mum's salon is today. New things arrived." "That's great," he said, trying to look surprised. Elise looked at him over the client's head. There was suspicion in her eyes, but also gratitude. "Ivy," she said, "take Rowan to get a soda at the diner next door. I'll finish up here and be right there." When she met them 20 minutes later, Elise was serious. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. "Ivy, can you play on the playground over there for a few minutes?" "Sure." Ivy ran off. Elise turned to Rowan. "Was it you?" He hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I just wanted to help." "Rowan," she started, but her voice broke. "You shouldn't have to go through this alone." "But I didn't ask." "I know you didn't ask, but you shouldn't have to. Family doesn't have to ask." Elise looked at him for a long moment. Then, to his surprise, her eyes filled with tears. "It's not about the money," she said quietly. "It's that no one has ever done this. No one has ever seen that I was struggling and helped without making me feel small, without making me explain, without making me beg." "You're not small," Rowan said. "You're the strongest person I know. You just needed a hand. You didn't even ask why I was in debt. I didn't need to ask. I know you work hard. I know you're raising Ivy on your own. I know that sometimes life is unfair to good people." Elise covered her face with her hands. "How did you know? That I was trying to hide it? Because I know you, and because I care. I have so much pride, Rowan. I'm so afraid people will think I can't handle it. You do handle it, but everyone needs help sometimes. Even you." Elise took her hands away from her face and looked at him. "How will I ever pay you back?" "You won't. This isn't a loan. This is family taking care of family." "Rowan, let me be a part of this," he said. "The hard parts too, not just the good ones. Ivy came running back from the playground. "Are you guys done talking?" "Can I talk now?" "You can talk," Elise laughed, wiping her eyes. "What were you talking about?" "About how we're a weird family," Rowan said. "Why weird?" "Because we chose each other. Instead of being born together, we found each other." Ivy smiled. "I like our weird family." "Me too," Elise said, looking at Rowan with an expression he had never seen before. It was gratitude, but it was more than that. It was complete acceptance. "So it's decided," Ivy announced. "Rowan is an official part of the family now, even when he gets scared and runs away." "Even when I get scared and run away," Rowan agreed. And this time he knew it was true. There would be no more running, no more fear. There was family, and family stays. The sun was setting as they settled onto the front porch. It was a Sunday evening unlike any other. For the first time in weeks, there was no rush for Rowan to leave. There was no awkwardness of hurried goodbyes or the feeling that something was incomplete. Ivy was on his lap, wearing the blue dress that matched her eyes. She had insisted on reading him a story after dinner, but the day had been long, and her voice gradually faded until she fell asleep right there, her small head resting on his chest. "Is she asleep?" Elise whispered, settling into the chair beside him. "She is," Rowan answered quietly, adjusting his arms to make Ivy more comfortable. "I think it was the longest day of her life, 3 hours at the park. She was showing off everything she's learned these past few weeks. She wanted to impress you." "She succeeded," Rowan smiled. "She impresses me every day." The silence between them was different now. It wasn't the uncomfortable silence of the first few weeks, when they were still getting to know each other and measuring their words. It was the silence of people who knew they could sit there forever without needing to say a thing. Elise looked at him, holding her daughter. There was something in the way he was with Ivy that made her feel like she was witnessing something rare. It wasn't just affection, it was protection. It was fatherly love in its purest form. "She's grown so much since you appeared," Elise said, watching her daughter's peaceful face. "I think we all have," Rowan replied, gently stroking Ivy's blonde hair. "Are you sure you want this?" The question came out more directly than Elise had planned. Rowan looked at her. "Why do you ask?" "Because this is forever, Rowan. It's not a hobby. It's not something you can drop when you get tired. She's going to need you on the good days and the hard ones. When she's sick, when she throws a tantrum, when she's a teenager and thinks you don't understand anything." "I know. Do you really?" Because being a real dad isn't just Sundays in the park and nice presents. It's waking up in the middle of the night when she has a nightmare. It's scolding her when she does something wrong. It's worrying every single day for the rest of your life. Elise paused, took a deep breath and continued. It's her throwing up on you when she has the flu. It's parent-teacher conferences when she gets into trouble. It's her slamming her bedroom door and yelling that she hates you because you didn't let her do something. Rowan looked at the sleeping Ivy. One of her little hands was clutching his shirt, as if even in her sleep she wanted to make sure he wouldn't leave. "I was afraid to stay," he said softly. "I spent 3 weeks running away because I was terrified of what I felt for you both. I was afraid of getting so involved that I wouldn't be able to live if I lost this." Elise remained quiet, waiting. "But now I'm afraid to leave," he continued. "Because in these last few months, you two have become my real life. Everything before this was just existing. It was just passing time until the next Sunday, the next moment with you. Rowan, I want to build a family with you," he said, finally looking directly at her. "On your terms. In your own way. I don't want to change anything you have. I just want to be a part of it. And when she does something that makes you furious, when she disobeys and you have to be the bad guy, I'll still be here. And when she grows up and doesn't want to ride bikes with you anymore, when she prefers her friends, I'll still be here. And when she brings home her first boyfriend and you want to kill him," Rowan chuckled softly, "I will definitely still be here, especially on that day." Elise felt her eyes sting. It wasn't the first time a man had talked about wanting to be a part of her and Ivy's life, but it was the first time she completely believed it. It was the first time she saw someone truly understand what it meant to be a parent. "Are you sure?" she asked again. "Because if you walk out of our lives now, you'll break her heart. And mine too." "I'm not leaving," he said with a conviction that surprised even himself. "I can't imagine a life where you aren't in it anymore. I don't even want to. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that's what family does, right? They stay when it's hard." Elise reached out and touched his hand, which was resting on the arm of the chair. It was a simple touch, but laden with meaning. "You're already a part of it," she said softly. "You have been for a long time. You're just saying it out loud now." Rowan interlaced his fingers with hers. It was strange how something so simple could mean so much. It wasn't just affection, it was acceptance. It was an invitation to stay. "How do we do this?" he asked. "Officially, I don't know if it needs to be official," Elise said. "Family isn't about papers. It's about choice, and presence, and love that stays. But what about legally? If something happens to me, I want her to be protected. I want you both to be protected. We can talk about that later. Adoption, guardianship, marriage, all in good time." "Marriage?" Rowan repeated, surprised. Elise blushed slightly. "I just meant, in the future, maybe. If that's what we want." "It's what I want," he said simply. "When you're ready. If you're ready. Ask me again in a few months," she smiled. "When we're sure you're not going to run away again." "Fair enough." They sat there until Ivy woke up an hour later, disoriented and sleepy. "Where am I?" she mumbled, rubbing her eyes. "On the porch," Rowan said. "You fell asleep on my lap." "Oh," she smiled, still half asleep. "It was a good dream. I dreamed we were a real family." "And we're not?" Elise asked. "We are," Ivy said, perking up. "But in the dream we lived in the same house, and we had a dog, and you were wearing a pretty ring on your hand, Mum." Rowan and Elise exchanged a look and laughed. "Maybe one day," Rowan said. "The dog, the house, or the ring?" Ivy asked hopefully. "We'll see," Elise said diplomatically. "I vote for the dog first," Ivy announced. "Then the house, then the ring." "Noted," Rowan laughed. The following Sunday they were at the park again, but this time it was different. There was no longer a sense of temporary goodbye. There was continuity. There was a future. Ivy was showing off how she could ride her bike without the training wheels. She had insisted on taking them off the week before, saying she was big enough now. The park was busier than usual. Families were having picnics on the grass. Children were playing on the playground. Couples were walking hand in hand. It was the perfect picture of a summer Sunday. "Look," she yelled, pedaling in ever-widening circles. "I'm flying." Rowan and Elise watched from a distance, sitting on the bench where it had all begun. "She really is flying," Rowan said, full of admiration. "Kids do that when they feel safe," Elise observed, "when they know there's someone to catch them if they fall. And there is. Yes, there is. You know what's funny?" Rowan said. "I used to come here before I met you two. I'd sit on this very bench and watch the families, wondering what it would be like to have that. And now you know. Now I know it's better than I ever imagined. Scarier, too, but better." Ivy pedaled over to them, stopping with a skill she hadn't had months ago. "Did you see?" "I did 5 laps without stopping." "We saw," Rowan said. "You were amazing." "And look," she said, making a sharp turn. "I can turn without getting off the bike." "Be careful," Elise said automatically. "I am being careful," Ivy assured them. "Wait," she said, dropping the bike and running to the backpack on the bench. "I have something for you." She came back with a folded piece of paper. It was a drawing like many she had made before, but this time there was something different in the way she held it, as if it were very important. "I made this at school on Friday," she said, handing the paper to Rowan. "The teacher told us to draw our family." Rowan unfolded the paper carefully. It was a simple drawing, like all of Ivy's Anki's, but perfect in its simplicity. There were 3 figures in front of a house: a blonde woman in a blue dress, a small blonde girl, and a tall, dark-haired man. They were all smiling. There was even a small dog next to the house. At the top, in her neat handwriting, it said, "My family, Mommy, Ivy, and Daddy." Rowan stared at the drawing for a long moment, unable to speak. The figures were simple, but there was so much love in every crooked line, in every color, chosen with care. "Dad," Ivy said naturally, as if it had always been this way, "this is for you." The word hit him like lightning. It wasn't the first time she had used it, but this time was different. It was declarative. It was definitive. "Ivy," he began, but his voice failed him. "Because you are now," she said simply, as if explaining something obvious. "You take care of me. You love me. You stay with me when I'm sad. You teach me things. You do dad things. So you're my dad, even though I'm not your biological dad." "What's biological?" "It means you weren't born from me." Ivy thought for a moment. "But I was born for you, right? And you were born for me. The teacher said family is who loves you, not who made you." Rowan felt his eyes fill with tears. He knelt to be at her level. "Can I have a hug?" he asked. "Of course," Ivy said, throwing herself into his arms. Rowan hugged her as if she were the most precious thing in the world, because she was. "I love you so much," he said quietly. "I love you too, Dad." "Forever?" "Forever and a day," she said, repeating something Elise used to say to her. Elise came over and wrapped her arms around them both. For a moment, they stood there, embraced in silence, as if sealing something important. "Are we a real family now?" Ivy asked, still in the hug. "We already were," Rowan said. "Now we're just sure of it. And we're going to stay together forever." "Forever," Elise and Rowan said at the same time. Ivy smiled against Rowan's shoulder. "Good. Because I like having a dad who doesn't leave." The words were simple, but they carried the weight of the entire journey they had been on. From the first meeting in the park to this moment, it had been a natural, inevitable progression, as if it had always been meant to be. When they finally separated, Ivy went back to her bike, pedaling with even more confidence, if that was possible. "How do you feel?" Elise asked Rowan. "Complete," he answered without hesitation. "For the first time in my life, complete." "Welcome to the family," she said, smiling. "Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Thank you for wanting to be a part of it." They watched Ivy pedal, free and happy, and Rowan understood something fundamental. Family wasn't about blood or papers or official ceremonies. It was about choice. It was about presence. It was about love that decides to stay, even when it's hard, even when it's scary. It was about finding people who made you feel at home and deciding to build a life together. It was about a 5-year-old girl who could see through all the fears and complications of adults and simply say, "You are my dad." It was about a strong woman who opened her home and her heart to someone who appeared as a stranger and became family. It was about a man who learned that running from love only made the love stronger. "Dad!" Ivy shouted from the other side of the park. "Look what I can do!" She was pedaling with her eyes closed, trusting completely in her balance and the security of knowing they were there, watching over her. Rowan waved to her, his heart overflowing. Dad. He was a dad. And for the first time in his adult life, he knew exactly who he was and where he belonged. He belonged here, in this strange and perfect family that had chosen each other. He belonged forever. "Shall we go home?" Elise asked, when Ivy finally got tired of pedaling. "Let's go home," Rowan agreed. And this time, when he said home, he knew exactly what the word meant. It meant Ivy running to hug him when he got home from work. It meant Elise smiling when he helped with dinner. It meant belonging to something bigger and better than he had ever imagined. It meant love that had chosen to stay forever. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the